I Feel Fine by DeiStar. Applejack trotted down the streets of Ponyville with a smile on her face and two saddlebags on each of her sides, bouncing along with her body. A gentle noon breeze blew across her face, spraying the nearby fragrances. Flower shop to the right, fruit stands to the left, and a bakery at the corner. However, her gaze was fixed at the unique building at the end of the street. Several ponies took the streets in what it seemed like the rush hour, some of them buying products, selling the merchandise, or just being common bystanders. Applejack was used to it though. On weekends she would set up an apple stand around a corner and sell some of her fresh, recently plucked apples. Quickening her pace, Applejack made her way out of the sea of ponies and reached the front door of Carousel Boutique. She stopped and glanced at the fancy design of Rarity's place, which were as vivid as always.
Hey, Rares, you there?
She called, with a firm knock on the door.
It's me, Applejack.
She stood there for a few seconds, waiting for an answer that never came.
Rarity.
Her hoof knocked on the door again.
Come in.
A weak, clocked voice said from inside the boutique. Applejack immediately recognized the voice, despite its atrocious tone. She opened the front door and stepped in, ringing the little bell on top of it. However, she was no customer. Closed windows barely let any light appear inside. Applejack looked around the gloomy room and noticed several dresses piled on top of the counters, most of them perfectly lined on top of each other.
I came to visit.
Her voice echoed quite clearly across the fire. It was certainly much quieter than the noisy streets of Ponyville, especially at noon.
Oh, Applejack dear, you didn't have to bother.
The same raspy voice answered back. A snivel followed and a sneeze right after.
I ain't leaving my best friend all alone with the cold, you hear?
Applejack's hoofs clumped against the marble floors of the boutique as she walked around.
Fluttershy told me you were sick. I can't believe no pony's taking care of you.
She trotted upstairs, her hoof steps echoing across the stairway, all the way down to the hallway. Even though she seldom visited, Applejack knew Carousel Boutique like the back of her hoof. She knew that right after reaching the hallway, she'd have to take the second door to the left in order to reach Rarity's room. She was ready to open her friend's room and barge in, but manners were something she had learned very well at Manhattan, back when she was a filly. Knocking the door, she inched her head forward.
Can I come in, Sugar Cube?
Oh, no. I simply cannot let you see me like this. I'm a mess, a disaster. I'd be Ponyville's laughingstock if they lay their eyes on me.
Somehow, Rarity's atrophied voice seemed to be back to her usual dramatic tone until another sneeze cut her speech.
Come on, Rarity. Why'd you let me in if you're not gonna let me see you?
Are you really sure you want to come in, darling? I don't want you
Sneeze escaped from Rarity.
infect you.
She snorted. It wasn't proper of a lady to snort or make any related disgusting sounds, but she couldn't help it.
Well, don't be silly, Rares. I came here to take care of you, and I ain't taking no for an answer.
Fine, if you insist, but don't say I'd never warned you.
The door handle clicked, followed by another sneeze from Rarity.
Please come in.
She sniveled. Applejack didn't hesitate to open the door and step inside. The first thing she spotted was the unbelievable number of scrunched tissues scattered all over the floor. Rarity could have easily used 2 or 3 boxes of them. Applejack looked up and noticed the big unoccupied bed that she thought Rarity was in, with tissues over it as well. Her head tilted to the right, where she finally found the mare in question, who didn't look like her usual self at all.
Rarity, what the hey are you doing out of bed?
Rarity's mane and tail were a total disaster. Not only they were messy, but wet as well. Her usual crystal blue eyes were replaced with two bloodshot eyeballs, half closed and half puffed up. Her nose was no better than the rest of her body, and a small drop of green substance leaking from one of its nostrils.
Oh, Applejack, dear, you look wonderful today.
I wish I could say the same thing about you, Rarity.
Applejack chuckled.
Now get your flank back to bed. You shouldn't be staying up and doing stuff around if you're sick.
No, I can't.
Rarity spun her body and walked towards her desk, dragging a pencil over with her magic.
I must finish all these dress designs. There is simply no time to be resting.
Feeling her leg being pulled, she turned her head and looked at Applejack. Magical connection with her horn and the pencil was interrupted, causing the latter to drop on the desk.
Oh, I don't think so, Missy.
Applejack dragged an unwilling Rarity to her bed.
You'll stay glued to that bed as long as your nose keeps dripping with that stuff.
She wiped away the tissues on the bed with a hoop, making the floor more of a mess. She let go of Rarity's leg and grabbed the bedsheet with her mouth, pulling it to let the unicorn in.
But...
Rarity climbed on her bed, resting her head on the soft, fluffy pillow.
No buts, Rarity. The work can wait, but your health comes first.
Applejack covered Rarity with a sheet, safe for her head, and stood right next to her.
There. Now ain't you feeling better?
She offered a smile. Rarity snorted.
No, not really, dear.
Trying to at least get a comfortable position, she moved around in the bed.
But thanks, Applejack.
I'm happy to help my friends.
Applejack raised the hoof and placed it on Rarity's forehead. Didn't take long until the hoof received the unicorn's temperature.
Whoa, Nelly. Quite the fever you got running down there, Rares. You're higher than the dirt on the farm on a very sunny day.
Rarity didn't take that last comment so well. How could Applejack possibly compare her with dirt?
Thanks, Applejack.
She sniveled.
Am I really that hot?
We'll see that.
Applejack looked at one of her saddlebags and opened it with her mouth, withdrawing its thermometer from there.
Oh, I don't think there's really any need for...
Rarity's words were cut by Applejack, quickly sticking the glass device inside the patient's mouth. Thanks to Lesha, she didn't have to sigh to Applejack grabbed the thermometer within her mouth. In a matter of seconds, the mercury rose. Applejack extended a hoof, grabbed the thermometer, and checked for herself. But a sudden sneeze from Rarity sent it flying across the room and crashing against the wall. The shattering sound caused Rarity to look at Applejack with a faint blush on her cheeks.
I'll clean that later.
Applejack sighed.
For now, we gotta do something about that fever of yours.
She tapped a hoof against her chin.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that before? You know, Rares, it would be easier if you didn't have that horn in the way.
Applejack struggled to get the ice pack in place. However, Rarity's horn made it quite hard to make the pack stand still without sliding down her face, right between her eyes.
It's cold, Applejack.
Well, of course it's cold. Fevers ain't gonna go down if the pack's warm, you know.
Applejack tried to put the ice pack on Rarity again, saying the same result as before. Tired of it, she grabbed the pack and placed it on top of the horn, obtaining a cringe from Rarity as an answer.
Oh, wait. It feels nice.
Rarity mumbled. The chilly, nervous sensation became a pleasant one. The pack refreshed the tip of her horn, soon extending down her head with a sigh of relief. She snorted and looked at Applejack.
Thanks, darling.
Oh, shucks. I told you it's nothing.
Applejack raised a hoof and took off her hat, placing it on top of her chair in the room.
By the way, why is no pony here taking care of you? Don't they know you're sick?
Oh, no, it's not that.
She sniveled.
Well, yes, sort of. You see, I woke up this morning covered in sweat. It was so disgusting. My mane and tail were a mess, and I kept sneezing like if someone had thrown pepper at me. I swear this is no good for a coat. It's all sweaty and sticky. I took a cold shower after a while, but I am just like I was when I woke up. The weather's fine, I said. No need to cover yourself up at night, I said. I'm not going to get a cold, I said.
Applejack listened to Rarity's rant without saying a word. She didn't want to bother with it, since she knew she wasn't done yet. It would do no good to say something considering her current state. It was better for her if she just let it all out.
Then my eyes got this dreadful bloodshot, and they fell puffy up. They started to puff up like two cotton balls. My hoofs hurt, my legs feel weak, and my nose keeps leaking this, ew! I look horrible. My head spins, and I just look at my gorgeous mane. It's where I messed up. Why is Celestia punishing me with this? Why, Applejack, why?
Whoa there, partner. No princess is punishing you or anything. You're just having a cold, like any pony would around this time of year.
I guess I shouldn't sleep without covering myself up at night then.
Rarity regretted the decision she had made last night.
Of course it will be a warm night, I said. You don't need to cover yourself, I said.
You ain't a filly, Rarity. What are you gonna do about your business? You can't run a boutique with your body dripping fluids from everywhere. You can't even have Sweetie Belle around here. What if you infect her? Poor filly ain't gonna do any crusading for a while.
Oh, don't worry. Sweetie is with her mum and dad. She only comes on the weekends.
What about Opal?
She's at Fluttershy's. She dropped by early this morning to deliver some cat food. I told her I was sick, so she took Opal away, so I couldn't infect the poor dear.
Rarity sighed, relieved by the very pleasant sensation of the ice pack on top of her horn. Her face was still hot, though, but at least the sweating had stopped.
Ah, that explains why she knew you were sick. She also dropped down by the farm to buy some apples, and she happened to comment that she visited you before.
Applejack grabbed the ice pack and rubbed it against Rarity's forehead, placing it back on top of her horn after a few rubs.
So that's why you came.
She snorted.
Yep. I just couldn't have my best friend alone with the cold.
Suddenly, Applejack's eyes widened.
Oh, right. How could I forget about it?
She looked down at one of her saddlebags and opened it with her mouth.
What? There's more?
Rarity could hardly believe it. It seemed like Applejack had a whole hospital stashed in those two saddlebags. She would expect something like that to come from Fluttershy. She never pictured Applejack as a great caretaker. Her gaze shifted towards the item Applejack withdrew from its back.
What's that?
Shoot.
She said, holding the thermo with her mouth. She placed it on top of the nightstand, next to the box of tissues.
As soon as I heard you were sick, I went to pick up my book of recipes and made you a yummy homemade noodle and tomato soup. It'll cure your cold faster than you can shout yee-haw.
Oh, Applejack, this is so nice of you.
Oh, it's nothing.
Applejack withdrew a spoon as well from her saddlebag. She looked at the thermo, then at Rarity, placing the spoon on the nightstand as well.
Well, shucks. This is embarrassing. But I'm not a unicorn with fancy magic to grab things. and I got butter hooves. Think you can lend me a hoof? In this case, a horn?
She chuckled.
Certainly.
Rarity's horn lit, creating a pale blue aura around it and thermo. She opened it and levitated the spoon as well.
Don't you have a bowl to pour the soup into? I think it would be quite hard to use the spoon like this.
All right.
Applejack opened the saddlebag where the now broken thermometer once was. She took a small bowl out of it, being taken away by Rarity's magical grip.
You unicorns got easy with your magic and all. Sometimes I wish I had a horn.
Come on, Applejack. Being an earth pony isn't bad. Sure, unicorns can do lots of things with magic, but you shouldn't feel less because you haven't got horns or wings.
Rarity poured the soup in the bowl, placing the thermo back on the nightstand, canceling the magical connection with it. Steam rose from the bowl thanks to the hot liquid.
I know. I always envy Pegasi who fly in the sky, free like birds, or unicorns that can build things faster or cast their fancy spells like Twilight. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does.
Applejack, we're all equal, regardless if we got horns or wings, or nothing at all. Although I have experienced how a Pegasus feels with those butterfly wings Twilight gave me when we went to Cloudsdale. Can you imagine what would happen if Pinky were a unicorn?
Rarity, if that girl were a unicorn, Discord's chaos would pale in comparison to what Pinky would do.
Applejack chuckled, pleasantly joined by Rarity.
Now, how about you taste the apple family soup?
Rarity nodded and dipped the spoon inside the bowl, taking some of the soup. Unwilling to spill the soup on her bed, she carefully dragged the spoon to her mouth and took a sip. As soon as the first drops of liquids ran through her mouth and tongue, Rarity let out a squeal.
Hot.
She swallowed the remaining noodles and breathed with her mouth to cool it down.
You okay? You should blow on it first. Or do you want me to do that for you?
Rarity pressed her lips together and sighed.
Would you?
Of course. Just put the spoon near my mouth and I'll cool the soup for you.
All right then.
Rarity took some more soup from the bowl and dragged the spoon close to Applejack, who gently blew on it, making most of the steam that rose fade away in the air. The spoon went all the way inside Rarity's mouth and delivered the tasty soup. She hummed, slowly sliding the liquid down her throat.
Oh my! This is absolutely delicious, darling.
I knew you'd like it. It was done with the best tomatoes I could find. Apples aren't the only fruits we grow at the farm, you know. We harvest plenty more stuff. Carrots, potatoes, onions, you name it.
Rarity smiled and took some more of the soup. Applejack gladly blew on it again for her and the unicorn drank it.
Dear, you simply have to share this recipe with me.
Will do, Rares. It's the soup Granny Smith used to make for me when I got cold as a filly, and it's the one I make for Apple Bloom when she falls sick as well. I know I should be the one giving it to you, but what the hey?
Well, thank you so much for making this soup for me. It means a lot.
Rarity sank the spoon on the bowl, feeling an itchy sensation growing on her nose.
And I really?
The familiar sensation grew stronger. She knew what was coming, and it wasn't going to be nice, with the objects floating around with her magic. However, she didn't have time to think about it and put the bowl down. Without advice, Rarity let out a loud sneeze. A sudden rush caused her to lose focus on her magic, sending the bowl flying across the room.
Whoa!
Applejack jumped back, taken by surprise by the sneeze. She turned her head and looked as the bowl crashed and broke against the wall, splattering the hot soup everywhere.
Oh no!
Rarity dragged the hoof to her mouth and looked at the mess she had created.
Oh, Applejack, I'm so sorry, dear. I didn't mean to do it, that really. I broke your thermometer and now your bowl as well.
Applejack chuckled and waved the hoof around.
Now, don't worry, Rarity. It's okay. These things happen. Besides, I got plenty of bowls at home.
Oh, but just look at the horrible mess. The soup stained not only the wall, but also my recently washed carpets. If I don't wash it out soon, the whole room will reek of tomato soup. I can't work like that.
Rarity, calm down. I'll clean that later, alright? You shouldn't strain yourself. It'll do you no good. I think you should just take a nap, okay? Is there anything I can do for you, Sugar Cube?
Well,
Rarity's white cheeks acquired a red color in a flash.
oh, never mind.
Nah, what is it? Tell me.
Well, this is silly. When I was a filly, my mum sang me a lullaby while rubbing my belly whenever I was sick. So I was wondering if you could be a dear and...
Call your mother? Gotcha. Just give me a minute and...
What? No, darling. I mean that if you could, sing for me, maybe.
You want me to sing for you?
Applejack sniggered.
Well, ain't you the cutest little filly ever? You sure love to get pampered.
Rarity dragged the blanket up to her face in a futile attempt to hide her blush.
Well, you don't really have to if you don't want.
Nah, it's okay, Rarity.
Applejack chuckled and stood next to her friend.
I mean, you broke my thermometer, didn't get to finish your soup, and you broke my bowl. But if a song's all you need to get better, then I'll sing better than the rooster down at the farm. Now, which song do you want me to sing you?
Well, do you know the song Hush Now, Quiet Now? That's the lullaby my mum used to sing for me. And could you also do the belly rub part? You can hop on the other side of the bed.
Sure, Rares.
Applejack trotted to the other side of the bed and climbed. First sensation she felt was the amazingly softness of the mattress. Her old one back at the farm was like a pile of rocks compared to that one.
Whoa. Now I know how Rainbow Dash feels when she's napping on a cloud.
She couldn't help but bounce a little. Rara let out a giggle, amused by her friend's enjoyment. She pulled the blanket away and revealed her white, puffy belly to Applejack.
Are you sure you want to do this, Applejack, dear?
Her clogged nose snorted.
Anything for you, Sugar Cube.
Gazing at Rarity's tummy, Applejack sat on the bed and extended a hoof. The moment she made contact with Rarity, she thought of the lyrics in her head. She knew she had heard it before, but she didn't really sing it a lot.
Okay. Now how does this fancy song go, like? I think...
She slid her hoof across her belly, slowly going up from her chest down to her flanks. Taking a deep breath, Rarity closed her eyes and thought about nothing but a feeling of soft, gentle strokes of Applejack's hoof against her body. She wanted to give Applejack the instruction to start, but she found herself unable to articulate a single word.
Ah, right. I think it goes like this.
Applejack's rubs kept their slow rhythm, not going too fast or too slow. She thought of it as if she were penning Winona. She cleared her throat, with the first lyric in her head already.
Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's...
It's time to go to bed.
Rarity said.
Right. It's time to go to bed.
No!
Rarity opened an eye and looked at Applejack.
Start over.
Applejack stopped the bell rope for a second just to stare down at Rarity.
Really?
Yes. Darling, you can't simply pause a song and then continue just like that.
Rarity closed her eye.
Now start again, if you please.
Okay.
Closing her eyes, Applejack sighed and resumed the movement on her hoof. She could have complained about Rarity being too pretty again, but she didn't want to bring a long and unnecessary discussions to the table. Enough had the poor mare with being sick and devastated by her own image to fight over silly things.
Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. Drifting off to sleep, the exciting day behind ya. Drifting off to sleep, let the drug of dreamland find you.
Applejack started rubbing Rarity's belly with circular movements, alternately switching directions. Her soft voice rang inside the unicorn's ears, who answered with soft breaths and hums. Rarity's soft belly went up and down, constant with her breathing. Applejack pressed a bit on it and switched from her circular pattern to single linear strokes.
Hush now, quiet now, lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed.
Applejack hummed the note with her eye, her hoof stopping its movement. Looking down at the unicorn, she smiled.
Rare, you asleep?
She whispered, but received no answer from the fast-asleep unicorn. Applejack let out a faint snigger.
Oh, shucks. Now I got sleepy too.
She looked down the soft pillows, a thought running inside her mind.
Well, what the hey? I'm sure Rarity won't mind if I take a little shut eye while she's sleeping like a filly.
Grabbing the blanket with her mouth, Applejack covered Rarity, save for the head. She looked at the other side of the room, noticing the stain of soup on both the wall and floor.
Oh, right. I guess I should clean that soup or...
A huge yawn interrupted her, causing one of her eyes to tear up.
Maybe later.
She found herself pressing her head against the pillow, her eyes slowly starting to shut.
Wait, isn't there something I should worry about?
Applejack, darling, I told you that I'd infect you, but you didn't listen, did you?
Sharing the same blanket, Rarity and Applejack lay together on the bed, with ice packs on their heads.
But thank you for taking care of me and for singing me the lullaby. That was so nice of you.
She rested her front hoofs on a small bed tray in front of her. Applejack had one of them as well.
Oh, you thank me enough for today, Sugar Cubes.
Applejack sniffled, followed by another sneeze.
I'm sorry I fell asleep on your bed. I was sleepy, but I promise it ain't happening again.
Say nothing, dear. I'm not mad at you or anything.
Though I really should get going back to the farm.
Nonsense, darling. You are absolutely not going to put a hoof out of this bed.
Faint laugh escaped from Rarity.
Oh, the irony.
She chuckled. Pulling a cart with 2 bowls of hot soup, Fluttershy came inside the room.
Are you feeling better?
She stood next to Rarity, grabbed a bowl with her hoof, and placed it on a bed tray. Both mares welcomed her with a smile and a nod.
Oh, yes, darling, thank you.
Rarity glanced at the steamy soup with her tongue moistening around her lips.
I just can't wait to try Applejack soup once again.
Fluttershy moved to the other side of the bed and delivered the remaining bowl to Applejack.
Well, I did my best I could to make it like she does. Please forgive me if you don't like it. I'm sure the soup will be as tasty as it can be.
Applejack stared at the noodles floating on top of the steaming tomato soup. He took a deep breath, savoring the fragrance of the soup.
Yep, smells about right.
Fluttershy's cheeks changed from their yellow color to a red one.
Thanks, Applejack.
She grabbed the card and pulled it away to the middle of the room. She stood there and looked at her patients.
I'm so glad you two are okay.
Lucky for us that Fluttershy came by, right, Applejack?
Rarity levitated a spoon and dipped it in her soup. She could already taste the noodles sliding down her throat.
Well, I knew she'd come and ask me about Opal's favorite meal.
That reminds me, Fluttershy. Shouldn't you be taking care of all the critters and animals at your place? Oh, don't worry. It's their nap time, so they'll be okay for a couple of hours. Ah,
Applejack's eyes widened as she recognized a familiar sound. It could only mean one thing, a very bad thing. She glanced at Rarity, who had her bowl and spoon levitating with her magic.
uh-oh.
She whispered to herself, and looked at a Pegasus standing in front of the bed on Rarity's side.
Fluttershy, duck! Huh?
Fluttershy tilted her head.
Applejack, I'm not a duck. No! Down! To the floor! Why? What's going...
The end.